Hello, everybody. It's great to be here one more time today. My name is Gary Fowler. I'm the CEO, president, and founder of GSD Get You Done Venture Studios, a premier AI and quantum venture studio located in the heart of Silicon Valley. I'm a 17-time serial entrepreneur with several unicorns under the belt. I was on the original management team of Click Software, which is sold to Salesforce for $1.35 billion, and also Eva.ai. And today on Simplenight Presents, we're going to be talking about accelerating interest in AI and the Simplenight solution for commercial real estate and retail. And I'd like to welcome all of you out there, and I want to thank you. Now we're in 73 countries represented with several million views, and it's all because of you. We're going to explore how AI is reshaping industries at the intersection of technology, place, and experience. Today's conversation tackles a growing paradox in commercial real estate and retail. AI interest is at an all-time high, yet real-world readiness remains painfully low. Joining us is David Huesser, a global real estate executive with decades of experience transforming shopping centers, mixed-use assets, and destination retail across North America and the Middle East, from Simon Property Group in Brookfield to AI in Dubai. David has led asset management, redevelopment, leasing, and digital innovation at scale. Now leading the Middle East division at Simplenight, David brings a rare operator's lens to how AI can actually be deployed across legacy systems, fragmented data, and complex stakeholder environments to drive measurable value. Today, we're going to explore why the AI readiness gap exists, what commercial real estate and retail truly need right now, and how Simplenight is helping bridge that gap, pave the way with practical, scalable solutions. And I'd like to welcome David to the show. Hi, David.
Hey, Gary. Glad to be here.
So, let's start off from your vantage point across North America and the Middle East. How would you describe the current level of AI interest versus actual implementation in commercial real estate and retail?
It's an interesting question. I actually just got back from a conference in Abu Dhabi, and one of the conferences, everybody thinks their competitors are so further ahead than they are, but the reality is everybody's trying to catch up. Everybody's trying to learn as fast as they can. So everybody's talking about it. Everybody's trying to figure out what they.
And so, where do you think the biggest disconnect is?
The where to start is the biggest. So if you're talking about a real estate developer, you're trying to figure out how to get more people walking through the door, whether that is tapping tourism, whether that is tapping loyalty rewards, whether that's tapping, shopping at home. You can get small. You can actually start trying on fashion your clothes. You can have a basket of things waiting for you. So it's becoming it. It how do we become more efficient? The consumer sitting at home, they don't want to spend 6 to 8 hours going from store to store, eating, shopping, grocery, all the above. So they're trying to figure out how to do it more efficiently. They also want to do it more with like personal shopping. I walk through a store. I may not be doing the right fashion for my body tone. So is there somebody or AI have the ability to help me figure out what my fashion should be, what my skin tone cosmetic I should be wearing versus what I am wearing? Um, so all those moving components, how do we, because the associate is trying to figure out how to upsell their customer, but that's from a human to a human. But if we can be smarter about how we upsell, how we get more customers, how we engage in the overall city, not just the mall itself, but the hotel next door, the sports venue that's down the road, to F&B in the mall, out of the mall, to what's the traffic like, what's the transit like, what's the, all those moving components, government visas, medical, connecting dots in every. It doesn't just touch real estate, it doesn't touch sports, it touches government services, it touches everything. So everybody's trying to figure out how they want to link it, how much they want together, and really make it and monetize is the best way forward.
I was with one of the wealthiest guys in the world a couple of nights ago. We had dinner here in Palm Beach, and he's from Africa, actually. And we had the same conversation. I mean, this is literally one of the legacy families from there. So I hear it all around. And I think, you're right. It's, the people know it exists, but they don't know what to do with it. And here's the other thing, David. It's really interesting. I was with one of the largest insurance companies, and I was telling them about Simplenight and some of the things that we do.
Mm-hmm.
And I met with the president of the company, and it was very interesting because they had no idea how to use. They have over 30,000 employees, right? And they had no idea what they could do with AI in their company. And I sketched some things out for them: hyper personalization, how we get down and increase customer loyalty, using avatars and digital twins and all kinds of different things, but at a granular level. And it was interesting because they were so far out, they couldn't understand the concept and said, well, they're going to wait a couple of years to do something. And the one person, the VP that I had briefed, she looked at me and said, what do you think about that? I said, well, you've heard about dinosaurs, right? I said, their dinosaurs aren't around anymore. I said, nothing good's going to happen. You can't, it's not something you can wait on, because these tools give you superpowers. Simplenight gives you superpowers to do things that were literally incomprehensible a few years ago. And the people that don't get it, they're going to be behind, because you can't have things like citizen services and real estate and malls. And I mean, literally, it's all connected together as one. We have to serve our customers better. And the tools that Simplenight has, and I'm telling you from the inside out, right, as an advisor myself, it's just incredible. Mm-hmm. So, from your as we're going down through this journey, you've worked inside massive legacy organizations like Simon. What are the biggest structural barriers, data quality, integration, culture, that prevent AI from scaling, in your opinion, David?
I think so. All these big corporations, real estate corporations, they basically have for years had the position, we're not a retailer. We own the real estate. We own the dirt. We own the physical building. We don't sell anything. So for years, they pushed that off to the retailer, off to the restaurants, off to the hotel next door. And they weren't, yes, they were concerned about a retailer because if they didn't do the business, then they couldn't pay the rent. So that's where the level of concern and the level of interest is. But the reality is, if a tenant isn't doing well, they don't have the sales, they can't pay the rent. But the bottom line is, what landlords want, they don't want the tenant just to pay the rent. They want the retailers to pay the percentage rent, the overage rent. That's when the landlords make real money. So they don't quite know how to layer all the moving components so that they're helping a retailer at the same time. And so they're learning today. And oftentimes when they meet with a retailer, and I can tell you here in the Middle East, as well as in the US, is the retailers is basically saying, let us do our job. And oftentimes there's not a really good collaboration. I know we've tried to connect digitally the dots for retailers, and they basically want to keep their side of the business themselves, and they don't really like to share that data with the landlord. So to take it forward, the two parties, both the retailer and the landlord, and it's a bit easier here because a lot of the retailers are franchise groups, and a lot of the franchise groups are actually owned by the landlord. So that's sort of, I guess you say 40 to 70% of the large groups, they actually are landlords themselves. So there is a bit more collaboration here than I would say that is in the US. But because of bankruptcy and not getting the rents that you need, and publicly traded companies basically owning the bulk of the real estate in the US, there is more of an awareness, and I think there is an effort to collaborate. They haven't quite figured out the whole AI component. There is a physical, from a human perspective, more collaboration happening, but there's millions of tech companies out there, and they don't know where to turn to.
That's it.
Um,
And tech companies sometimes use APIs and they're not really deep, right? And
yeah.
they don't understand what a multi-agent, multimodal LLM is, what the difference is, and how they could, profoundly impact your business, sometimes exponentially. And so, yeah, it's interesting. But how much of this challenge is technology, and how much is it really about people, incentives, and organizational readiness?
I will tell you, and this is firsthand knowledge. I will tell you, when we pitch the Simplenight solution, and the group of companies that we work with, represent and work with, our ecosystem, our network of real estate, F&B, uh, hotel groups, small groups, retailers, tech organizations, some of the biggest in the world, as you know, um, they're all impressed with who we have supporting our efforts. What they haven't, and so once we pitch to somebody and they actually give us the time, they are all impressed. We don't walk out of the room without somebody saying, all right, we need to carry the conversation forward. But the biggest stumbling block is the people within the organization that are leading the charge on the innovation, technology, and IT. They're the ones that are actually supposed to be pitching this stuff, and they sometimes get their back up because we are giving them sound advice, sound strategy, and we're here to help. We're not here to take anything away from anybody. We want to help. We have a great, powerful solution that can really turn anybody's organization.
No, I agree. And, that's one of the challenges, right? Because you got these AI and innovation groups. And in reality, I was talking about that one insurance company. Uh, just weren't up to speed. I got to tell you, they weren't. I've personally been involved in tech in Silicon Valley 44 years. I've been involved in expert systems 30 personally. And I've seen it. And I remember in 2016, we started the first generative AI company, pre-transformer models, Findo, and sold it. And I mean, then people didn't even know what AI is or was. They had no idea. And so you're going down through and you're trying to get people up to speed. But the one thing these companies, I'm sure you're starting to feel it, is they know that if they don't do something, they're dead. They're out of business because people that harness these powers, David, are going to be doing. I remember a couple of years, 3 years ago, I did this thing as superpowers, right? I said, you're going to have superpowers and you can't compete against somebody that's deployed these models. It's impossible because, think about it. There's 176 zettabytes of data on the planet today for these corporations. If you took DVDs or CDs, those old things, they stack up 28 times fully loaded between Earth and the moon and grown at 69.6% per year. Data is the biggest problem. I know in the retailers, I did merchandise long-range weather forecasting tied into merchandise planning. That was like, this was a long time ago, but they didn't get it. Yet seasonality is the biggest effect. Once you incorporate these technologies in, everything changes. And the customers have so many options, they're going to go to people that care about them, that have empathy and compassion, that really got their back. Anticipate the kind of things they want. Look at what's the best time to come over to go shopping, right? It's just amazing. So in the Middle East, by the way, the AI started to kick in on my side, and she's got questions. She says, in the Middle East especially, what unique opportunities exist to deploy AI faster in retail, F&B, and destination assets?
The fastest, I would say, is the destination assets. So tourists coming in, they're going to sporting events, they're going to excursions. As you know, we're built on helping governments with tourism. So we understand who's coming into the country today. We want to help them come in, more people, double the population next year. And we have the ability through all of our tourism channels to really, double and triple the tourism population within a given city or country. So I would say tourism is a big push. But the one thing I like about the whole tourism side, which most real estate companies don't think about, is if we're helping. So I sit in Dubai and I'm in Saudi a lot. So when we're helping tourism organizations, boards, in the UAE and in Saudi, we're bringing more people in, but most people don't realize if we're working with the tourism board, at the same time, we could be linking all the malls in Dubai, all the malls in Riyadh, all the malls in Jeddah, and really create a loyalty rewards within the shopping centers, but within the excursions and within the F&B. We can connect the dots that literally no one else is doing. You go to most aggregators, you could do airfare, you could do hotel, you could do a little bit of F&B and a little bit of excursions, but we can aggregate every single thing on the planet, and no one else can do that.
So I call it Neem. Neem was my grandmother, so she's coming up with another question. She wants to know. She thinks it would be a good idea if we talk to the audience about how Simplenight helps the organization move from fragmented data and siloed systems to something actionable and revenue driven.
The beauty that I love about what Simplenight is doing, and so spending many years on the landlord side, the opportunity to make money is with the physical space, the units they have to lease out. And yeah, have advertising, they have sponsorship, and they have all those components. But once you lease out the space, once you lease out the advertising or the banner space in the mall, all that kind of stuff, there's nothing else to make money on. We have given real estate developers a new revenue source by sharing the revenue, the booking revenue that we create for them. It's a brand new revenue source. We do all the work. They literally don't have to do anything. They just have to say, this is a brilliant idea. We want you guys to take us to the next level. We are building strategy for companies. We're giving them advice about what they should do. Portfolio companies, investment groups. I own these 20 companies. Help me understand how I should be investing from the innovation AI perspective. What should these companies be doing? So we're doing strategy. We're giving them brand new revenue sources, and there's an opportunity to make this a massive shift in the paradigm for some of these organizations.
So another one she comes up with, she said, let's talk about, David, how Simplenight especially is relevant for asset owners, developers, operators who don't have deep internal AI talent.
So
why do we make it easy? Why do we make it easy for them and they don't have to worry about trying to build something on their own for 6 months or a year or 2 years?
Yeah. They don't, for the most part, none of these companies have the team to be able to do what we're doing. And I'll tell you what one real estate company told me. What might take us 2 to 3 years to develop and build ourselves, you can do in 3 months. So if I want to be relevant and I want to be ahead of my competitors, then you guys can help me get there quicker, more effectively. And so why should I ask my owner to spend money when all I need to do is contract with you guys?
Yeah, exactly. And those are the smart ones. So over the next 3 to 5 years, what's going to separate the commercial real estate and retail players who win with AI from those who fall behind?
So the ones that fall behind are at the very beginning of our conversation here. You said, "Oh, I'm going to wait 2 years. I'm going to see how this plays out." So the ones that wait 2 years are basically going to be 4 or 5 years, 10 years behind. So because the years compound, the ones that do something today, it's not like they're going to stop 2 years from now, because as you know, AI is going to continue to evolve, evolve, evolve. So the ones that start today will be constantly doing something over, who knows, the next 5, 10, 15, 20, forever. And the ones that aren't, they're going to have a hard time catching up. And it's going to cost them 2 and 3 times as much to get there if they do try to catch up.
The thing is, I don't think they will, because we're gonna be so far ahead. It's like going to Formula One. And once you're out at 10 laps ahead, it's really hard to catch up. I'm not saying you can't, but it's really, really hard. You know, um, so if you could give one piece of advice to real estate executives who easier to do AI right now, what would it be?
It would be to listen to what we're saying, because if you don't, everybody answers to somebody. CEO answers to a board. They answer to shareholders. They answer to a sovereign fund, a large family entity. So if you do nothing now, you literally have the ability, and I've seen it and you've seen it. One day you have a prosperous mall, 90, 95, 98% occupied. You do nothing and you are content with your department stores and your small shops and your F&B, and you just keep replacing these retailers, and you don't look ahead, you don't innovate, you don't look at the trends, follow the trends, understand what's happening in the market, from the hottest fashions out there to the best QSRs, the best Michelin star restaurants, and the best technology to link it all together, then you will be one of these malls that is listed on the deadmall.com site.
Yeah, no, I'm from Williamsport, Pennsylvania, in Muncie. I think it was actually Simon, and it's dead. And it used to be the center
Yeah.
of attention. But you gotta you gotta change with the times. I agree, and you gotta serve the customers better. Um, what's the biggest misconception real estate and retail leaders have about being AI ready today?
The I would say the perceived cost that might be involved. They think that, so if they go to one of the large consulting companies, they're writing checks in the millions. And they're not tech companies, they're advisors. So they're giving them a plan, they're giving them a strategy, and you spent millions. You spent anywhere from, I don't know, 1 to 10 million to get that strategy. You haven't bought anything yet. You haven't done anything. You just have a thick report, which is often copy and pasted somewhere else from
You
some.
I got to tell you. So I had a company come to me recently, and it just happened to be one of my friends' companies, and I sat down and literally with my team, we wrote a report up in a couple of days, just for the heck of it, because he's my friend.
Mhm.
And I gave it to him, and he said, "Oh, this took a lot of time, didn't it?" Well, it doesn't take a lot of time if you know how to use the tools, right? And in an in-depth level, and you got 14 of them as a team, you can do miracles. And it was amazing that people have this reality that's got to take a lot of time to get it done. We don't have time anymore. There isn't time. Or you're going to be one of those dead malls on the dead mall list, trying to figure out why Dick's Sporting Goods isn't there anymore, or why Penny's is gone. It's and we got to do it now. So how do fragmented data sorters, leasing, foot traffic, F&B, parking events limit decision making today?
So you touch base on practical data that every landlord is paying attention to. Everybody wants to know what their footfall is. Uh, they're seeking gross data. Footfall, understanding the footfall is great, but better understanding the conversion. So most landlords understand what their footfall is in a given mall. They don't know what the conversion is most of the time. They don't know how often that they don't know how often that one customer is coming to the mall every week, every month, or every year. We should know with AI, with data, you should know how often I walk into that mall, how many hours I spend in a mall, what stores I go into that mall, how to upsell me, what stores I'm missing, what stores, what am I asking? What am I stopping at concierge service for and saying, oh, do you have such and such? We have the ability to be so smart about who our customers are, and we're clueless. We really should do a better job. Landlords should be doing a better job, and they have to take an aggressive approach to not just putting this on the retailer. It's the landlord's job to lease the space to the tenants that are going to drive footfall to the mall. I'm working on a project right now that the first thing we're talking about is, what are the big boxes that are going to really allow us to reshape this asset so that we can then bring in the right F&B, the right fashion, all of the above. We have to be unique. We have to be strategic. But we need to better know our customers so that we can execute properly.
Are they getting it now? When you look at, from your time when you got started with Simplenight to today, do you think people are getting it more and more? Is it on a monthly basis? Do you think they're getting it, or is it still a hard sell?
So they're getting so let me just sort of sit on footfall for a little bit. So everybody knows what their footfall is in a given mall. So if it's 15 million and it drops to 13, they're concerned. If it's 15, it's going up to 17, everybody's happy. Or if it's 15, it's going up to 20, they're happy. They haven't done the analytics to say, all right, if it goes from 15 to 17, this is what should be happening. I'm going to go from 500 to 800 a foot in sales per square foot. They haven't sort of figured that out because they just concentrate on the gross number. So I think we need to be smarter in how we understand how we're doing the analytical component of the raw data, because raw data is great, but it's useless unless you're analyzing it.
This is from my AI. She wants to know, could AI eventually influence how assets are designed, not just how they're managed?
AI can definitely, yes, help in how an asset is managed, how you are leasing the space out, how big certain spaces should be, the rent per square foot, market analysis. It can tell you what the other assets in the community are being rented at. It could tell you how big the other assets are, why you should be the certain size, what component should it be a traditional mall, should it have a hotel attached to it, what are all those moving? Is it all interior? Is there a lifestyle component? Is it an outlet mall? What are those moving components? And yes, I do believe that AI is going to have a role in playing that into the future. They already have a role in playing, you have a prospective tenant, I want this space, I want that space. The pre-leasing work is already being done by AI. It's just a matter of, are the companies all buying into that philosophy? But yeah, AI will definitely have a role to play from the ground up to the management to the whole life cycle of the asset.
From your work in the GCC, how is AI changing destination retail and experiential assets?
So experiential assets are, from my perspective, a much bigger component here than they are in the US.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Building cities that, some of the developments are bigger than some of the US cities that are being built in this part of the world. And they realize that if you have a mall, you have a city, and you haven't really done anything to really create any uniqueness, then your tourism, your new visitors, people are going to be born and you're going to increase your traffic. People are going to pass away and you're going to lose your traffic. But here they're very intentional about building mega entertainment complexes, residential, offices, best of class resort areas, F&B, Michelin star restaurants, amazing QSR. So they built an entire city to bring in tourists and keep the local residents. So what we have here is we have tourists that are coming to the market. We have local residents that are living in these communities. And you have expats that are moving in, like myself, to work and live and shop and do all the things that tourists would do, but also what residents would do. So it's a win-win scenario. It's almost like Disney, but yet the retail and the residential component becomes part of what they're building here. And it's quite an amazing feat that is happening to see it unfold in front of your eyes.
Do you think Middle Eastern developers are more willing to experiment with AI compared to North America? And why or why not?
I think they are, and I would say Wall Street doesn't. They're not worried about what Wall Street is saying, how much their spend is. They're doing it. A lot of them are doing it for, they know they need to do it. It's not, a lot of developments are legacy developments, where in the US it's like, all right, if I don't hit that 3 to 5% number that I've told Wall Street, then, you know, everything's going to go in the crapper. So there's a difference between publicly traded companies in the US and the companies here that if the ROI is 5 years, 8 years, 10 years down the road, they're prepared to live with that. In the US, if the ROI isn't, you're building out and you're doing CapEx, you're doing a new tenant moving in, if your ROI isn't 1.5 to 2 to 3 years, you're probably not doing the deal.
Hmm. So what problems does Simplenight solve that traditional prop tech platforms simply can't?
So we have the ability to be very agile, very customizable, and it's unique because it's customized because we build everything from the ground up. But we have enough aggregated partners that if somebody says, I want to link my car park system, my traffic count system, my POS systems for all the retailers, so whatever you want it to be, the booking for F&B and fashion, and if you want to link every single component, your vacancy, your terminations, the property management systems, the round up from residential building that is just a piece of dirt today, and somebody wants to walk through and tour it 3 years from now when it's ready to be leased out or sold, we can manage and integrate every component within our system. And I haven't found anybody else that can do that.
So how does Simplenight align incentives across owners, operators, tenants, and consumers? The Germans have a phrase, actually it came from Aristotle, that some of the parts equal the whole. In German, it's Gestalt. But I mean, that's what Simple Night's doing. It's tying it all together in one and making it easy, right? So there's incentives across all of them. How does Simple Night align those incentives to make the best, most incredible system out there?
Simplenight, we say, is the system for everything and everybody. So we can make your asset alive and real and breathing, which benefits you as the landlord, benefits the retailers, your tenants, and ultimately, most important, and it's a really hot button in this day and age, gives your consumers the experience they're looking for. And I think that's the key, is improving the experience the customers are looking for by creating increased EBITDA value for the landlord at the same time.
So this is from the AI, talking about AI. She said AI eventually is going to become as foundational to real estate as location and capital. And she wants your opinion.
It's definitely going to be a strong component on, should we do this CapEx project? How are we managing the revenue, the increase in revenue, the decrease in revenue, the vacancy? Your occupancy went from 90% to 75%. How are we adjusting our KPIs, where you might have been spending 10 million US on roof and asphalt and renovation of a mall? All of a sudden, that plan needs to be paused, stopped, delayed for a year, 2 years, 3 years, whatever the case may be. AI is going to have a very clean, concise, method where it becomes part of your advisory board, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Your past, your present, and your future.
So what excites you most about AI in retail and where it's headed?
I'm excited to see how I'm an old real estate guy, so I'm excited to see how real estate, retail, and the technology innovation component can link and really improve assets, make them vibrant. And if you do it right, you can actually avoid assets sort of falling by the wayside. And you can improve the real estate companies, you can make the cities, the communities more successful, enjoyable. There's so many positives with adopting a really positive innovation process.
What worries you most if the industry doesn't move faster?
If the industry doesn't move faster, there's going to be more retailers that will be filing for bankruptcy, because the ones that have adopted will be successful. The ones that haven't adopted won't be, and they won't be around.
So one thing every real estate leader should stop doing and start doing when it comes to AI.
They should start listening, they should get educated, and they should figure out how to bring AI throughout the entire organization, if they want to be around.
David, I want to thank you so much for joining us today. And to all of the listeners out there, thank you for the millions of views. We appreciate it. And for all of you out there, remember, it's all about the data. And if we don't go down through and use incredible tools like Simplenight for those corporations and envelop them, nothing good is going to happen. Because remember, the dinosaurs aren't around anymore, and those companies are becoming like dinosaurs. We need to move faster. We need to have hyper-personalized relationships with our customers. We need to understand the data, and we have to do this very, very quickly. The tools like Simplenight are there today, and these experiential tools that give you that human-like, empathetic, and compassionate experience, Simplenight has it today. And it's really great to have you on the show today, David. And we appreciate it.
Great. Yeah, great to be here, Gary. I appreciate the conversation.
And thanks. And we should do it again. We should have you on another show. She put a lot more questions out. She started pumping them out fast. And
I'm sure.
I don't want to get through it. She enjoyed it. But anyhow, to all of you out there, stay happy, stay safe, and stay healthy. We'll be back to you again soon with another edition of Simple Nights Presents. My name is Gary Fowler, and I'm your host. And look forward to talking to you again. And thanks you, David, for your time.
Thank you.